I bet no one's ever told you this before, but here it goes. Did you know you don't need talent to be interesting in a conversation? Not charm, and definitely not luck. My friend, it all comes down to a simple technique. Most people who stand out socially are using a structure that works in any setting. And here's the best part. You don't have to change your personality or pretend to be someone you're not. This method is so simple that anyone can use it. And it's powerful enough to turn even the shyest person into someone magnetic. In the next few minutes, you'll learn how to never run out of things to say, even if you're shy and hate meeting people. And no, that's not an exaggeration. Because once you understand how to keep a conversation going, ask smart questions, and unlock dialogue naturally, everything changes. Trust me on this. So go ahead and drop a comment. I'm magnetic. Hit that like button and stick with me till the end. Because today, you're going to learn how to develop real charisma, start conversations with confidence, avoid awkward silences, and stand out without trying too hard. Ready? Let's dive in. Lucas was the kind of guy everyone respected for his intelligence. A data engineer at a big tech company, he came up with brilliant solutions during high-stakes meetings. But the moment he stepped into a happy hour, met someone new, or had to take a client call, everything would just shut down. He'd freeze, stuck in his own silence, eyes darting around, desperately trying to start a conversation without sounding awkward. And the harder he tried, the more his brain would go blank. It was like someone had hit the off switch on his ability to talk. Here's the thing. The real world doesn't just reward people who can solve complex problems. It favors those who know how to navigate social situations. And Lucas, for all his brilliance, kept missing out on amazing opportunities simply because he didn't know how to keep a conversation going. He felt this strange kind of shame he couldn't even explain, as if not knowing what to say instantly made him seem boring or uninterested. His anxiety would rise, his charisma would fade, and that feeling of not fitting in became the norm. What no one ever told him was this. It had nothing to do with how smart he was. It was all about social skills, and those can be learned. But everything changed the moment Lucas discovered something that would shift everything. And that's where the magic begins. Lucas used to think he was a lost cause, that he'd simply been born without the gift of conversation. Some people seem to have naturally. But here's the truth. No one is born knowing how to hold engaging conversations, how to come across as interesting, or how to speak with confidence. These are skills, and like learning an instrument, they're built step by step. Except instead of musical notes, what you need to master are conversation frameworks, social triggers, and techniques that turn small talk into something magnetic. The light bulb moment came to him during something simple, yet powerful. He was watching a talk by a former FBI agent who said something that changed everything. Good communicators don't wing it. They follow invisible mental maps. That was the missing piece. Lucas didn't need more personality. He needed a system, a clear approach that could show him, in practical terms, how to start a conversation without sounding forced, how to avoid awkward silences without panic, and how to build charisma even when he felt out of place. And no, it doesn't take talent. It takes method. That's when things began to change. These mental maps work like shortcuts. Once you know them, you no longer have to overthink every interaction. It's like having an internal GPS that helps you ask the right questions at the right time with the right tone. Lucas realized that what he called freezing up was really just a lack of internal structure. And the crazy part? This is accessible to anyone. It doesn't matter if you're introverted, analytical, shy, or think you're just not that interesting. When you have the right system, unlocking conversations becomes as natural as brushing your teeth. Lucas began to realize that unlocking conversations wasn't about saying more, it was about saying the right things. With a little practice, he started using the first tool, the CRE formula: career, ambitions, recreation, and everyday life. These 4 pillars act like universal keys that can open any social door. When he met someone new, instead of searching for the perfect line, he'd choose a point from the CRE and ask a simple, open-ended question like, what's a typical day at your job like? Or if you could take a week off right now, where would you go? Suddenly, the awkward silence turned into real connection. And the best part? The other person would light up because they were talking about something that truly mattered to them. The second tool was a real game changer: reflective curiosity. Lucas stopped asking default questions and started listening with presence. If someone said, "I surf now," and then, he wouldn't just ask where, he'd share something personal like, "I've always had a deep respect for the ocean. One time I nearly got pulled out by a riptide at Venice Beach." These kinds of exchanges turn everyday conversations into memorable moments. It's the little things that make you stand out because they show you're really there, not just waiting for your turn to speak. Then came the 360 degrees social radar. Lucas learned to use his surroundings as fuel for conversation. If jazz was playing in the background, he'd ask if they liked that style or if it reminded them of a trip. If someone was holding a unique-looking drink, he'd go with, "That looks good. What is it?" When you activate this radar, the world becomes your conversation playground. You're no longer stuck in your head because everything around you becomes a bridge to connection. But Lucas knew that questions alone weren't enough. So he started carrying what he called pocket stories. 3 types, always ready, 1 funny, 1 inspiring, and 1 thoughtful. If the topic was challenges, he'd talk about the day the system crashed right before a major deadline. If travel came up, he'd tell the story of his van breaking down in the California desert. And when the moment got deeper, he'd share a childhood lesson from his grandfather. The structure was simple but powerful: tension, twist, and takeaway. This brought a natural storytelling rhythm to his conversations and made him memorable, even to people he'd only met once. And finally, the subtlest, but maybe the most powerful tool of all, the and then technique. When someone said, "I like to cook," Lucas didn't just say, "That's cool." He'd follow up with, "And then, have you ever thought about starting a channel to share your recipes?" This simple pattern nudges the other person to open up, deepens the conversation, and avoids the dreaded loop of, It's like every sentence becomes a trampoline to the next. With these 5 tools, Lucas went from passive observer to confident conversation leader. But the impact went far beyond just talking. In the end, Lucas realized something that changed not only the way he spoke, but the way he saw himself. He didn't need to be the smartest in the room, or the funniest, or most talkative. What makes someone a great conversationalist isn't having perfect answers, it's showing genuine interest. Real communication isn't about impressing people. It's about connecting with them. And the ones who master this aren't the ones who talk the most. They're the ones who listen with intention, ask good questions, use simple tools, and have the courage to show up as they are, no masks needed. The key to being interesting isn't becoming someone else. It's learning to value what's already within you. And it all starts with a choice. Try just one of the techniques you learned here. Just one. A question from the CRE, a comment filled with reflective curiosity, a well-placed story, a moment of activating your social radar, or even a simple, and then at the right time. Over the next 3 days, use one of these tools in a real conversation. It could be with a friend, a coworker, or someone new. Then come back here and share what changed. Here's something most people still don't realize. Being great in conversation isn't about having something brilliant to say. It's about showing up with clarity, intention, and presence. When you use the right tools, even the smallest moments carry weight. Even the simplest conversations start positioning you as someone worth listening to. And those social opportunities, they're not just at parties, big events, or boardroom meetings. They're everywhere. In line at a coffee shop, in a quick comment on the elevator, or in a casual, and then after someone shares a story. That's where you build influence, open doors, and become unforgettable, not by forcing it, but by mastering it. Now it's your turn. Put into practice what you learned today, and over the next few days, come back and tell me what happened. Which technique did you use? What worked? Most importantly, what changed? The most honest and insightful comments will get a personalized tip from me. So go ahead, like the video, share it with that friend who freezes even saying hi, and make sure you subscribe because what's coming next will give you an even greater edge in any conversation.